Welcome back, Affinity designers. This is part 2 of Draw with a Knife Tool. Next level. We're going to explore a few different options now that we have the basics under our belt. We're going to look at how you can use a photograph in case your drawing skills aren't up to par. And we're going to look at some texture effects that are available. So let's dive in. First up, we're going to look at using photo references. Go to the Window drop-down menu and go to the Stock Studio if it's not already up. Here I've typed in the word butterfly, and I'm just going to pull out this monarch butterfly and close that studio down. Shrinking down that image, I'm just going to position it. Again, I have my top color and my base color. I'm going to drag it right underneath, right there. Okay, so it's right above my top color. I'm going to lower the opacity just so I can see through it, and then I'm going to go ahead and lock that image so I don't mess around with it. And as before, I'm going to get the actual rectangle, not the group, but the rectangle in the group. Select the knife tool and go to town. I'm not going to take time to do the entire butterfly, but now that I've gotten most of the butterfly done, I can select the layers I want to delete, click the bottom one, shift click the one underneath the main layer, hit delete. I can delete the photo now. I don't need that reference anymore, hide it. And there you have it. I'm seeing through the top layer onto the red layer below. Let's take a look at some of the other effects we can do now that we've cut out this original shape. I started by removing the texture layer that I have. I'll talk about that in a second. But let's just go down to the base color layer, and I'm going to draw some shapes on here, just some circles, and give them some alternate colors. This is another organic way to create some neat color effects. So I'm just going to change the colors. Doesn't really matter right now. This is just for illustration purposes. No pun intended. Okay, so I'm going to select those three, moving around until I get them to a place where I like them. Again, I'm seeing through that top layer that we cut through with the knife tool. And once there, I'm going to go ahead and add a Gaussian blur, lower the opacity slightly. You can change the blend mode if you wanted to. I'm going to go ahead and use the Gaussian blur to blur those out, give a nice soft edge. And then I don't like those colors, so I'm just going to play around with the blend modes. Find something I like. That's kind of nice. And there you go. And so you can move around that shape. All right, if I go to the layer effects, I'm going to add a outer shadow, or this is how we do drop shadows in Affinity Designer. I'm going to do the offset, just a smidge out there, kind of keeping it close. The farther away the shadow gets using that offset, the more or the higher off the top paper appears from the bottom color. So I'm just going to mess around with the opacity and the radius, which is like the softness of the edge, until I get something I like. And again, it gives that illusion that I'm looking through a piece of paper onto another surface. Okay, zooming in, we can add another effect, an inner glow. And this is, again, going to be on the top layer. And the inner glow will give a brightness to the edge of where the hole is. We can see it. There's a drastic version. But by dropping it down, making it lighter, less opaque, more transparent, then it gives us the illusion of thickness on that paper, as if a little bit of light is reflecting off the cut edge of that paper. Finally, I want to give this illustration a look of actual paper. So I'm going to pull a texture from the Stock Studio, and I'm going to crop down that texture to fit the artboard by putting it on top of both layers. That same texture is applied by dropping the opacity, giving it a multiply blending mode. Of course, you can use multiple textures if you like, whatever is going to suit your art style and your creative vision. Well, that's it for this video. In our final installment, we'll take a look at one more application for using multi-layered cutting to create some cool effects. See you then.